Hi, this is Craig and Celeste with Sulcata Grove, and today we're going to be tasting a couple of different varieties of loquats. Loquat, also called Japanese plum, is very common in Florida, though most of the time you see it grown as an ornamental. It's a very pretty tree with glossy leaves, and when we lived up near Gainesville, you'd see them everywhere. They make a good hedge. But very few people would actually eat them. So a lot of the varieties that you'll run into around are seedlings, and we actually had a bunch of different seedlings in our yards up there, and some of them were better than others. There are some name varieties that you can graft on and have those going. So these are actually some of the name varieties that we're going to be tasting here today. You'll see there's a big size difference in these. You'll see size difference on, these are like incredibly small. Even this variety is usually much bigger. If you thin out loquats, you'll get much larger ones. Now, of course, there is a size difference in the varieties themselves, but also thinning them can make a big difference there as well. I've seen pictures of ones that are grown in Europe that are the size of like a peach. They're like gigantic, but also that's probably from specialized variety, specialized treatment, and thinning as well. So anyway, let's jump into these. Let's start with these little tiny ones. That's Premier.
This is Premier, and this is the second crop it gave, and it was loaded both times.
Yeah, and the other ones were bigger. These are particularly small.
But they were still the smallest, and a lot of them are bruised this time, so I don't know. We usually don't get fruit flies, but is that fruit fly damage?
I don't have my glasses, so it's...
I don't know. It's okay. I'm not going to eat that one, though.
So this is small, and a lot of seed just in this little thing, so... But good. They're called Japanese plums, and they range in kind of a plum flavor to a peachy flavor to a grapey flavor. Apricot kind of thing. Yeah, so it's kind of a blend in there. The real advantage to these fruits is they're incredibly low maintenance.
As long as they're not
they don't like to be flooded. They can't stand to be flooded, but they are one of the major hosts for the Caribbean fruit fly. So you will get fruit fly maggots in there on occasion, though we really haven't had any issues with the ones here. Or actually, we didn't have much. Carib fly doesn't get up to the Gainesville area very often, so there wasn't as much of a problem up there. Down here in South Florida, we get a lot more of it, but I've seen Caribbean fruit fly damage on peaches more. I really haven't noticed them on ours. We haven't had a lot in our yard.
We don't even get them on guava, but
yeah, that's true.
See.
Okay, so that was Premier. They were small. That was a very...
I thought it had a sweet tart balance.
It was that was a sweeter one. Sometimes especially the seedlings, sometimes you get ones that are crazy kind of tart. Which again, if you want to make jelly or something out, that'd be great, but they're hard to eat. We've had other ones that are nicely... I've never had one that's overly sweet. They usually have a pretty strong tart element to them. But that ones we did, those Premiers were very balanced. They were good. This is
SES, and my understanding is SES was...
It's a UF variety, I think.
I think they were plantings, I thought, done in Florida by the University of Florida, but I think it's been the 40s or 50s.
I don't know how long ago, but I think they came out of one of the experimental stations in South Florida.
And this is one or two. I don't know which one. I think one of them they also ended up naming Wolf.
I think this is two. Now, I've heard of Wolf, and Wolf was actually... Wolf, I believe, was a commercial variety for a while. Oh, you think it's squirting out.
Is that fruit fly?
That might be. That looked like
I want to get a bite without getting the mushy part.
That looked like it was kind of... Again, knowing my glasses, so I can't see them. I'm squeezing this and I'm getting...
That's harder than the Premier. That's good.
So this has just one big seed, whereas the
Mine
other
had
one had
4 or 5 seeds.
four. So it's kind of a tough. This is a nice round seed, though. Usually you see little hemispherical ones. So this one's tartar than the Premier was.
See, I think we're getting fruit flies now.
It could be. I mean, you're supposed to. It's one of the.
Or maybe that's like that's like 4 teeth. Maybe like a possum or something.
Too small for a possum.
Oh, yeah.
It'd have to be a possum.
A
about that
rat.
big. Could be a rat. A little bit tartar. Could be sweeter. That one's not as good for me.
Okay. Anyway,
all right.
The whole reason we're making this
So
video.
those were 2 that we grew in our yard. These are some that were sent to us. This is Avri.
Avery. And thank you to Corey McCain. And he and his wife Jen have a YouTube channel, Core Jen Farm. And I'll link it in the description below. But he watched my last YouTube video and asked if we had this one, and it's one I've been wanting for a while.
That's got a very different flavor to it.
Oh my gosh.
That does not taste like a loquat.
Doesn't it have a little bit of canistel flavor almost?
Yeah, I thought.
That's crazy after eating the other ones.
Well, see, we had maybe 15, 20 different seedling varieties when we lived up near Gainesville. I also had a few grafted ones. Here we only have grafted ones, but they all kind of taste similar. There's a little bit of variety in there. There's a difference in the tartness, but this is a completely different flavor.
It's really good. This might be my favorite. It's just so different.
I'm getting another flavor. Melon. It's some kind of a melon.
It's not honeydew, is it? It's almost like
honeydew.
Is it honeydew?
It is honeydew.
All right, so thank you so much.
Yeah, that's real. That's
sending
maybe
us
the best
fruit,
I've had.
and more importantly, sending us the budwood. I think if I could only plant one tree, this would be it. One loquat.
That's the best loquat I've had ever.
That's crazy.
That does not taste like a loquat. That's a brand new flavor for me for a loquat, and I've eaten a lot of loquats.
Because up near Gainesville, we couldn't grow a lot of tropical stuff, so.
And they grew everywhere, and nobody picked their own fruit. You go out in the middle of the road in places where they had them planted as ornamentals, and just get loads of them.
And one of your graduate school projects was propagating loquats, so we ended up with a lot of loquat trees.
And at UF, behind the entomology department, along the urban entomology building, there was a big row of these 10-foot tall loquats. And the guy who worked in the urban entomology department liked to keep them for himself. So every year he'd go out there and he'd put these signs on there say, "Don't eat pesticide experiment in progress." I saw right through it. I knew he wasn't, so I'd go and eat them. And I found out later that I said, I asked one of his students, he said, "These aren't real." And because now they're not real. So I believe that was Dr. Kastner. If you're still there, we're on to you.
Yeah, that second fruit didn't have the canistel flavor, but it had the melony flavor.
But it's got a lot better sweetness. Actually, it's got very little tartness to it.
Yeah.
Which tends to be the downside of a loquat, is they tend to be overly tart. But that's really good.
I mean, the size, everything.
I mean, if I was going to make a pie or jelly, I'd go for a tartar one because it's going to have more.
Yeah.
It's going to be better for that. But if I'm going to be
It's
walking
like
around
really
the yard,
orange though. I don't know.
if I'm going to be eating these while I'm walking around the yard, that's the winner right there.
Yeah.
And that's usually how I eat loquats. All of my children grew up eating loquats constantly because we had them all over the yard, and they just go around the yard and pick the ones they like best. And
Loquats and satsumas. That was.
my kids may not all, they don't even all like mangoes, but they all love loquats. Hey, Alpha. Anyway, so that's that's Loquats. We tried 3 varieties here. We actually have probably about 10 varieties that we grow. There's a lot more out there. They're hard to find because, like I said, most people just grow seedlings and they're growing them primarily as ornamentals.
Get a grafted tree if you're going to grow it for the
definitely.
fruit.
Because I've had some seedling ones that were tiny and just super sour.
Yeah.
And they're just almost not edible. Versus, you know, yeah, get a graft. If you're wanting to eat them, get a grafted tree.
Yeah. So hopefully one of the grafts I did will take
and they're pretty easy to graft. I mean, they're compared
I had
to
100% take rate, and I'm new at grafting, so
yeah.
For the other ones, not just at the Avries today.
And actually, the experiment that I did in grad school was growing them from cuttings, and that also works. So yeah, I had to do a whole bunch of replications, and so I had to do like I think I did about 350 cuttings, and most of them I brought home. We didn't grow them all out, but we had a lot of Loquats. So anyway, hope you enjoyed watching this. Definitely try some Loquats, and if you have them growing ornamentally in your yard, try some and see if they're any good.
Yeah.
And
if not, graft on.
If not, stop working. Anyway, that's it for today. We'll see you next time.
Bye.